Hello, everyone. And yes, we are far better in our recordings. Today, we have a very special guest. Her name is Brigid, and you know her from our other episode where we also had a very special guest, which was she. Her. So there was a very important part that we wanted to discuss with Brigid, but we sadly had no time, but we didn't lack the will. So we have Brigid again here today, and she is going to share with us her journey to Orthodoxy. And by the way, remember, guys, when we initially started this channel, it was our initial idea to get all of you guys here, that you should share your stories. That really didn't go anywhere, but we are trying to get back on course. So, Brigid, please take it away.
And you feel free to use the whiteboard behind you.
Oh, right.
At any time. At any time. Just saying.
Diagram it.
Yes.
Okay. So let's see. I don't know why I'm so caught off guard. Okay. My journey to Orthodoxy was long, just like everybody else's.
True.
Here's how I'll start the story. So I am, most of my background is like Irish, Native American. Like those are the two biggest parts, okay? But my family's been in Texas for a very long time, but in terms of like my ethnicity, those are the parts. In terms of my religious ethnicity, it's Protestant, going back to like Mormon circuit preachers.
Wait. Sorry, load game. What? Mormon? What?
Mormon circuit preachers. I think that was like great-great-grandfather was a Mormon circuit preacher. And
what
then
would you say, Christian background or religious background?
True. Let's say religious background. Good theological distinction, Milos. Thank you.
Yay.
No. Okay. And so, but you know, through the generations, and I realized this when I became Orthodox, I truly believe, and my husband believes this too, that God has been working in our family to reverse the effects of the schism in our family. And we are the result of the reversal of the effect of the schism. We've come back to the home church. So I feel like a lot in my background of well-intentioned Christians or religious seekers trying to find the true church and being just flabbergasted in the West because of the extreme pluralism of Christian denominations. Mm-hmm. And so I was raised without very much religious instruction, although I went to Catholic school my entire life. That should tell you something about the state of Catholic schools in the United States. Not good. Okay. Let me just say this. I went to Catholic, my parents spent more than $60,000 on my Catholic school education, and that's not including college, and I never read the Old Testament through once.
It's better that you got a small apartment in Belgrade for that money and rented it.
I know. Okay. So, my grandmother was, my grandmother who recently was chrismated this year. She is, she's one of those like well-intentioned Western Christians. She wants to know Christ. She loves Christ. And I think it's that desire that ultimately gave her the prudence to walk into the Orthodox Church with me. But if I wanted to go to church growing up, like I'd call her and we'd go to Catholic mass. But it was few and far between. And my mom and dad thought it was important to raise their kids in a church, and they picked the Catholics because we got a discount at Catholic school and because it was down the street. But it wasn't like it wasn't like my parents embraced the Catholic Church. My mom, I think, is largely critical of it, but I think they did their best. So I was largely raised to be a secular, yuppie, like atheist, agnostic chick, right? I was raised to have a career, and the idea that I would get married or have kids was kind of like a side thing. And of course, this was extremely reinforced by the Catholic high school I went to. I went to an all-girl Catholic high school, and there was no home economics, which I think is strange. I mean, even if you think that women should be career women, I have no problem with that. It's not like they're not also going to have to cook. Like, come on. Or like, it's not like all career women are just not going to have children. Like, why wouldn't, anyways, the assumption was and it was just in the water that a family and a husband should be in like the back of your mind. And what you need to focus on is having a successful career. And I think specifically for women, that can be very like theologically detrimental. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that,
Is you.
this did have the school vibe. So I had to Google yuppie. Obviously, I had some problems with how to spell it, but I found it. Yeah, yuppie. Yeah, and it says young urban professional. Like I've heard yuppie, but I never really thought about what that is.
Oh yeah.
I was like, is you gonna draw something?
Colloquially and pejoratively. I'm using it. Okay. I'm using it in a way that to make fun of myself. It means that when I say young, yuppie, vegan, secular atheist, I mean, your general resident of like any large U.S. city that goes to Starbucks and spends their Sunday morning, strolling through Whole Foods and, yeah, that's what I mean. I'm using it pejoratively. Thank you, Dylan. Yeah.
Is Whole Food that the green logo?
Yeah. That's where you get all your keto.
Yeah, I remember. I used to have lunch there actually once, and it was.
Oh yeah, it's delicious.
Yeah, hot plate, but it's also not cheap.
It's not cheap, but Dylan took the best.
How I do it? You know how I do it? I was like, does it have sugar? No. Does it have sugar? No. And then like when I get it there, it's like $49. $49 for what?
Yeah.
For grass.
I just wanted to have a quick lunch. I could have gone to a restaurant for $59. And
no, you didn't go to a restaurant. You went to an amusement park for adults. That's what these grocery stores are. They've just got like buffets everywhere, and like here's how to be happy and healthy.
I have to say, I've seen stuff there. I've seen stuff I don't understand. Small bottles of something completely ridiculous, and my friend who was with me bought one of them and drank. He said it was the worst thing he ever had. We don't even know what that is. It's like substitute for coffee or something. I don't even know, but it comes in small bottles and you're supposed to drink it.
You're the only person in the entire galaxy who's surprised at the bill in a Whole Foods store.
No, I was surprised once.
Even once is too much. Once too much.
Plate was tiny, and it was $17.50. It was mostly salads because they don't weigh much. They weigh the thing,
Still expensive. It costs a lot of money not to use chemicals on them.
Yeah, it is. And I don't know. I mean, look, maybe that's like more or less the equivalent of what we call healthy food here, and it's not really healthy. I was surprised when I was walking down the aisle. I was walking next to the food stuff, and the entire salad section,
Mhm.
every single salad had sugar in it, and it read very
Yeah.
explicitly that there's sugar in it because they obviously have to write. Probably there's a law or something. I don't know, but every single salad
Yuppie law.
sugar, and it's why put sugar in salad? Whole
It
Foods.
tastes better. It tastes better.
Cranberries. Okay,
Better.
here's the deal. You're not the only insane diet that exists in the whole foods like universe. They have to appeal to the keto people. They have to do the gluten-free people. They got to do the vegan. They got to do the semi-vegan.
Sorry, but they
The
never.
vegetarian.
Nothing ever said keto. I really had to read everything. Nothing was explicitly keto.
How long ago was this?
A year ago.
Which Whole Foods? Because you get to complain.
The Whole Foods.
Get in so much trouble.
Whole Foods in Playa Vista, California. Like,
oh, that's a big no-no.
why?
That's a big old secular sin. You didn't accommodate a special diet in California? Well, here's the deal.
Lawsuit.
Yeah.
As a punishment, we have to burn one of their remaining 2 forests.
We're going to get so in trouble for saying that.
Let's
Because I snorted. I laughed so hard. Okay. Anyways.
Yeah, I forgot you were in Texas. How did I?
Yeah. But hey, Whole Foods started in Texas.
There you go.
Austin, Texas, yo. We've got in Austin, Texas, close to the equator, that Whole Foods is such an amusement park for adults. There's an actual ice skating rink on top of it.
You know, I already
Bless your heart. Bless your heart.
If for any given reason, if for any given reason, I have to go to United States again, I'll go to either Texas or Pennsylvania. That's I already decided that.
You go to Cracker Barrel. You don't go to vegan Whole Foods thingies places.
It makes me so happy you know what Cracker Barrel is. How do you know that?
Because Father Dimitri, my late spiritual father, took me there, and I really like the place. But they said that side dishes and salads are on one category on the menu, and they laughed so hard because like mac and cheese in salads. Yes, I can fast here.
Yes. And do you love how there's a candy store that you have to walk through before you get to your table?
That's mean.
Fantastic. This is a fantastic how you got to Orthodoxy.
I know. Okay. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't want to interrupt. No, don't misunderstand me. The entire purpose of this podcast, we call it podcast, even though it has nothing to do with the podcast, but the entire purpose of it is for us to have a normal conversation without any strains. You know, it's not in church, so we only have to speak church, you know? Like, okay, sister, please continue. Let's keep it on the main thread, sister.
Here's what I want to say, though, really quickly about Whole Foods and places like that. First of all, thank God they exist because it makes fasting a lot easier. I am not a talented cook. Like I said, the nuns failed to teach me anything about cooking. So the idea that I have to feed my husband and figure out how to do it without, dairy or meat is extremely overwhelming to me because I can barely boil a freaking egg. Okay. So places like Whole Foods have made that much easier. But here's what I'll say. If you walk through a Whole Foods or Central Market, it's no longer even a joke how pagan secular culture has become, because the remedies and the potions and the claims on these labels they're not ironic. So like I picked up a granola bar that was shaman blessed.
Yeah. I saw that. I saw these things. Like it wasn't granola. It was it was some kind of a drink, but I saw that, and there was like a text on the box, and it said like, they took it here, then they took it there. The recipe is old as the earth itself, and blah blah blah. And like, the only comment that my friend and myself had was like, these Americans always sell you crap.
Okay, it's true. That is true. We're excellent marketers, but also we're getting so pagan. It's not atheistic.
But tell me, this is the size of the bottle. But these are eye drops. But this is the size of the bottle. And what is that? Like, it's in the fridge next to the.
First of all, as you know, there are about 18,000 different kinds of sweeteners that are all equally nasty. Okay.
Yeah, but these.
And it might be derivative.
People will just jog these down.
Like, oh yeah, or they're shots, like they're like ginger shots.
Yeah, what is that?
Like wheatgrass in them, which by the way, I think it's 50%. I'm not sure, but I think there's some percentage of the population that can't digest wheatgrass. So if you do a shot of it, you'll like barf in 30 minutes. I'm part of that population.
But why do people
lucky
take
ones?
Shots of it? Why do people take shots of it?
They think of it like medicine. These are people who are very skeptical of Western medicine, and they think of it like it's like a boost. It's like I'm trying to think of
boost.
A magic potion. A magic potion, literally.
Like it's like holy water for them. It's like, okay, if I get sick, I will take some holy water along with whatever I'm prescribed, right? I don't think of it like a boost, but it's not a perfect metaphor, but like that's what they think of it like that. And it's not silly. I mean, if you have a stomach ache and you take a shot of ginger, it might help.
True.
But,
I mean, it's not harmful, but it isn't magic either.
Right. You also find in these places sometimes these hilarious like crystal claims about crystals, about how this crystal will help rid your home of toxic energy. So like if you wear it, somehow like all the jerks or like Trump supporters like won't come near you because they'll be too scared, or like
one of the I can't find it, but it was called like New Age Dictionary. It was like a booklet which was hilarious, and under the heading of crystals, it said, crystals are minerals that allow you to contact higher intelligences. If you're willing to pay $50 for a piece of quartz, you really are in need of contacting higher intelligences. And all of the definitions were... Sorry?
It's a serious problem in like healthcare, because there is a significant movement of people who will seek out, if they have a serious disease like cancer or something, they will seek out these alternative therapies until it's too late. And I'm not here to talk about bioethics, but that's a whole fascinating like philosophical issue. Like, who has the authority to tell them? Yeah.
Right.
Anyway.
Right on the whiteboard, Bioethics.
Yeah, but I like the simplicity of the yuppie and the.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, where was I? Okay, Whole Foods. I went there a lot. Yeah, so I basically was one of those people. I mean, I'm making fun of them because I was one of them. In college, I was self-professed feminist socialist. I wore combat boots.
Did you take ginger shots?
Yes, I took ginger shots. My husband called me Bronte, as in Brontosaurus, when he met me, because like all I ate was leaves. It's one of the things that made me like the Orthodox Church, even though when I first went, I thought it was a cult because they were all fasting and it was like free vegan food. They would like feed me the food that I was already eating. And I was like, great, I'll eat with this cult. Anyways, okay, so I find myself in college, And one thing that I forgot to say is that I always, God never left me all through this. I was close to God when I was a child. I prayed a lot when I was little, because my parents did have the sense to teach me like to pray at night, and my grandmother did, and he never left me. Even though on many occasions I must have let him down, and my poor guardian angel wept for like 6 years straight, I'm sure. He never left me, and as much as I wanted to deny his existence, he made it felt all the time. So I will say that he made it a lot easier for me to turn to him, because he was just like, you know, if you're like in a room, you can feel somebody staring at you, even if you don't know that they are, like behind you. That's what it felt like.
Wow.
I took a bunch of philosophy classes at my undergraduate institution before I was even a major, because I thought they were fascinating. There were questions that I had always asked myself. Philosophy is really interesting if you don't know the truth. Once you convert and you know the truth, I have to say it gets a lot less interesting, but that's just an opinion. So I took a class on the existence of God, and I pretty quickly realized, oh, okay, so I know that God exists, because to me, the evidence seemed to point to it. But I have to say, the philosophy class forced me to confront the issue. If I hadn't felt his presence and had this kind of, had the like self-realization that I had just been pushing away something that I had known all along, I don't know if taking a philosophy class on the existence of God would have done anything for me. So I know plenty of philosophers, for example, who are well-versed in the very good arguments, philosophical arguments there are for the existence of a monotheistic God, who are not persuaded by them at all. And I think that that's because their like nous is spiritually deficient. There have been other things that have happened to them in their life such that they're further blocked from God. That is neither here nor there. But so I realized that I believed in God, and I was like, okay, so which one do I believe in? Because there are so many. So, I just spent a lot of time like looking and ignoring it, and then looking some more. And I met a professor, and he was Orthodox, and he invited me to liturgy. I think mostly because he thought it would be hilarious to like see what I did, because he didn't tell me that the liturgy he invited me to was Pascha.
Naughty.
And I was trying to be respectful, because at this time I was one of those people who was like, respect all cultures. And I was like, what do? You get dressed up for church. So I had these like giant heels on, and it's like this 4-hour service, and like the women have their head covered. And, I'm just sitting there like, I was so angry, because I was like, oh, they're all enslaved to their husbands, and like, look at this patriarchal. Blah, blah. But you know what? If I was being honest with myself, what I was jealous of was the fact that they had what I didn't have, which was a husband and families.
Can I intersect?
Yes.
Is intersect the right word? Intersect in
Interject.
Interject. That's what I wanted to say. Okay.
If I can intersect just a little bit.
I lost my train of thought now, because I got too involved with the transition. Oh no!
By the way, until his train makes a full circle and returns to his head, I'm curious, because it's interesting that somebody admits that they were jealous of something, and then later they admit it, because something that they, I don't want to say hated, but might as well hated. So how did that thought process develop? I mean, it sounds interesting, as in, how did you realize that you were disliking something only because you didn't have it and you really wanted to have it?
And I also have something to add to that question before you answer.
Sure.
If possible. Thank you, B. So I'm wondering with how you were raised, and this entire context and all, and you developed into, as you say, a self-proclaimed feminist and
yuppie, vegan, secular, feminist, atheist.
all of that.
Yeah.
We can find a one name, like an umbrella term. For that, we'll do our best later. But I just let me formulate the question. You decided this. It was a matter of choice. This is how you wanted to see yourself. But were you in an internal conflict in terms of what you feel you should be versus what you decided to be? You understand what I'm asking you?
Are you asking, did I decide to be a yuppie, vegan, secular, atheist? I think that was much more cultural. Like, I don't think I had as much agency in that decision. That's more about like how I was raised. I had about as much agency in the decision to be like career oriented and things like that. Again, I don't want to say that career oriented women are bad. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, but like the total focus in your early life on that puts women in a very difficult position, because ding, 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 we have a biological clock and we have to get things done before a certain time. Okay. So, that it was, as I had about as much choice in that as Nina has in being Orthodox. Right. So she's going to be raised in the church, and she's going to be raised going to church, and she's going to be raised with certain presuppositions. I was raised with I was just a very typical young millennial girl. Yeah. And I think the typical young millennial girl reaction to coming into a place where there are traditional like structures, there are hyper masculine men who have families, and the liturgy is guided by men, is to say, hold on, what's going on here? Why are all these men in here? Okay. That's just like the typical reaction. And also it's traditional, right? Like it's traditional. You're taught to have like a level of skepticism towards anything like that. But I couldn't help the fact that I was curious. The realization that I was jealous of what they had only came much later. And it was actually as a result of like some like socio-biological reading that I did, and some like work that I did on just, once I realized that science pointed to there's a huge difference between men and women, and that was just through secular studies, I got so interested in traditional cultures only because I felt that the modern culture that I was a part of was detrimental in a lot of ways, but mostly between the sexes. With the relation between the sexes in modern society is really problematic, because there are many institutions that are set up to reflect a reality that absolutely does not exist, which is something we touched on last time, which is like the way men see the world and the way women see the world are fundamentally different. Thank God. Okay. So it was only later that I appreciated that I was pretty jealous that, they had what I like didn't have, but also because, like, even though I was this like yuppie chick, I wanted a boyfriend. I was tired. I was like, I wanted a boyfriend. I was like tired of being single, and I was really tired of like going places and like not having my drink paid for by men, because I was supposed to pay for it, right? So like, even though I was this like modern chick, I was also raised in a Southern state, and Southern manners were something that was in my house growing up, and so I was upset that wasn't happening. And so I go to this place and I'm confronted with hyper masculine men, which if women are being honest, and the data all points to it, women are like, hypermasculinity appeals to women. We might not like it, and we might say we don't like being bossed around by it, but we tend to choose them as our mates.
As a Twitter, as an article that I saw on Twitter goes, why do women like men who wear dresses? Actual dresses, not robes, so dresses. Tell us
Because
why.
Harry Styles is not wearing dresses, and he's not even gay or whatever category.
He doesn't need to be gay to be gay.
Exactly. Precisely. And then Dolce Gabbana or whoever, dresses up Harry Styles because, let's show the world that you don't have to be gay or trans or one of those categories in order for you to wear a dress. Mm-hmm.
Here's why Harry Styles gets to do that. Harry Styles, for all intents and purposes, occupies an extremely masculine position. Namely, he has control over many, many resources. The sociobiological data says, what do women want? Women want a mate that will be able to provide for them during an extremely vulnerable period of time in their lives, namely pregnancy. Oh, Harry Styles has all the money in the world, all the acclaim. In terms of the sociobiological ladder, he's at the very top. He can have any mate he wants. I'm just speaking about sociobiology. I'm not talking theologically, okay? Mm-hmm. So yeah, he can wear a dress, but all the chicks know that it doesn't matter. If, Joe Schmo, who lives in a studio apartment down the street, walks out in a dress and goes to a bar, I doubt very seriously he's going to get laid tonight. Not to be crass, but please.
Joe, this doesn't work for you, Joe.
It doesn't work for you, Joe.
Joe Schmo.
But maybe somebody will buy him a drink.
True, depending on where the bar is.
I just want to say, I think that where traditional gender roles win over modern gender roles, or even better yet, lack thereof, is that traditional gender roles are still primarily based in nature, whereas modern view of gender roles is basically an academic creation. And
yeah. You know what fascinates me? Honestly, it fascinates like the entirety of me. You have biological science, you have natural sciences on one end, and you have experimentally and through so much work, people have discovered some facts about the biological sexes, the way the human brain works, the way the human body works, and have defined something. And then you have social sciences who are now pushing natural sciences to change their claim based on social perception of what genders or whatever are supposed to be, which is literally, look, man, if I want to be called a dolphin, I want to be called a dolphin. Find me a reason in biology why I should be called a dolphin.
Well, here's what I'll say about that. Like, this is a really interesting issue. If you're interested in it, you should do casual reading in the philosophy of science, because it's the history of science and the history of the philosophy behind science is endlessly fascinating. And as a side note, I will say that if the schism had not happened, I don't think that science would have flourished as quickly. I don't think it would have flourished as quickly because I think it required certain scholastic presuppositions and impetuses. Anyways.
But to be quite honest, I don't think that scholasticism would not have developed if there were no schism. I mean, you have even in East some scholastic approaches, so it's not really.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
hopefully they would have been rooted out because I'm very angry about the scholastics. But, but yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, I've always wanted to ask another person about whether they thought that. So that's really cool. That's interesting. But yeah, so the history of science, it's all okay. The humanities and science are not like these islands that are separate, right? They've always been intertwined. The culture dictates where the scientific method will go, and the scientific method was an outgrowth of of the humanities at the time that it was developed, and blah 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 blah. So, but you're right. It's interesting. it's interesting because currently the people who are claiming these things that have no empirical backing whatsoever are also the same people who will say to people who disagree with them that you are against science.
Of course, and they're practically not
really funny.
You're a Nazi, but that's like, I've learned that's a thing. I know a lot of people who do this, like just project things.
Their opinions are all backed by science, and everybody else is wrong.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, before I get y'all in more trouble.
You won't trust us. You won't.
No. Somebody will pull this out of context.
I hope you respond again and not me. I'll let you do the dirty work. I'll be a good old patriarchal Orthodox Christian, and I'll let the men do the dirty work. How about that?
No, it was everything's cool.
Okay, what was I saying? Oh yeah.
He's here, but okay, it is what it is. It can't be better. We know that. This is it.
I can't remember where I was in my conversion story. Anyway, so I guess I was going to liturgy, and this particular professor who would later become my godpapa, he had the sense to, I was like doing a thesis with him, and he had the sense to tell me that he would only look at drafts after liturgy, and I had to come to liturgy for him to look at the drafts. And so really, the rest is history, like the liturgy started working on me in the mystical way that it does. And God started working on me. And
how long were you a catechumen?
Yeah.
I think a year.
Okay, now if I can interrupt you for just a second, because today I had a very interesting revelation. To me, it's revelation. Let me tell you how catechumen works in Serbian Orthodox Church. Please,
okay.
let me tell you this. Okay, so I'm listening to a podcast. So Father Andrew Stephen Daming is interviewing another priest. Cool guy. I like the podcast a lot.
Yeah, me too.
They're talking about how priests, when people come to them saying they want to convert to Orthodoxy, how they have different, I guess, different time frames throughout which these people will be catechumens before they are brought into the church by being chrismated or baptized, whatever the term is.
Mm-hmm.
And they said something like, well, I don't know, anywhere from like 1 to 3 months or maybe even 1 to 3 years. And then I just had a full stop. My brain just froze because let me tell you how this looks like in Serbia. So somebody wants to get married, and they want to have how do you say that, best man? They want to have a best man in the
baptism.
And
for baptism.
Marriage.
Hold on. Marriage.
Best man. Yeah.
Somebody wants
or
to
maid
get
of honor.
And they want to have a best man. And obviously in Serbia, everybody's connecting the church wedding and the wedding. It all has to be in the same day. There's a process. There's a tradition. And then basically, if the best man is not, chrismated, it gets done in a day.
Duh.
It gets done.
The best man wasn't chrismated, but he was allowed to be the best man even though he wasn't a Christian.
Well, okay, that's fine. Rules might differ from, jurisdiction to jurisdiction, but still, there is a.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
Well, okay. First of all, hold on. There is a difference. We are all here brought into a very orthodox, way of raising kids, etc., etc. So it's definitely not the same when somebody in the United States wants to convert to Orthodoxy and somebody here in Serbia, but still, but still, it's amazing to me and makes a whole lot of sense for people to be catechumens as long as it takes and to be actually guided by priests. And here's the thing, in the United States, Orthodoxy, I don't know is it 1 or 5 million people Orthodox Christian, I don't even know, but still there's not a lot of people, and the time that your priest can give you, it just looks different than it is here.
Yeah.
Right, because there's much more people going to church here.
Do you have a shortage of priests in Serbia? Do you need more?
Shortage of priests? No.
No.
We can export them if you want.
What do you mean? But you're saying that, are you saying that they don't have enough time because the parishes are so big to meet with each person individually? I thought that's what you were saying.
It's not because we have. I guess I just opened up a bit of a Pandora's box, which we're
good at that.
we might have been better off just letting it remain closed. But it's just so different here than it is in the United States, right?
Granted,
as B said, sometimes during our conversation, maybe even now today, I don't even know, or somebody else told me that there's a lot here. A lot of wisdom and true Christian morals and values that are imbued with the nation, and that's where the difference is. And to be honest, if you knew how many holy martyrs Serbian people has, you would be amazed. You would be amazed.
I know, I would be.
It's amazing. We are stepping on holy bones everywhere, right? That's
not literally.
but that's literally.
I know.
Yes, not literally.
That's what I mean. Last time, remember, I said I had these rose-colored glasses on about what it would be like to live in a place like Serbia. And of course, like every time something happens in the United States politically that we don't like, Dylan and I are always like, we just need to move to Russia or something like that, because we want that so bad.
Many Americans are moving to Serbia. I've been seeing more and more YouTube channels popping left and right from Americans reviewing Serbia and telling people, come here, it's cheap, it's safe, and it's freaking awesome. But we digress again. I'll just want to try very slowly to get us back to the main thread. The reason why I mentioned this is exactly because you mentioned the pink classes before. Here's what happens, and this is what Father Stephen Daming talked about in this podcast. It was great. It was such a good. It gave me so much insight and so much topics to think about. The thing is, what happens is you have this way of looking at these Orthodox countries, and then you get B and me, for example, talking bad about the church government here. The bishops or something like that, and you're like, and what can happen is, your things collapse for you, and that shouldn't be the case.
Yeah,
because it's easy for us to find flaws in a very much Christian country where people are Orthodox Christians. It's easy for us to see these things, and it's also easy for us not to see some great things that are happening.
Yeah, precisely.
So we really, at the end of the day, we need to be very, very careful. It's great to talk about them and compare, but we need to be very, very careful in terms of adopting new views. Having one thing collapse our point of view. Do we have to be very careful about these things?
Oh yeah, I feel here's what I thought. I know that first of all, I know nothing about church politics anywhere in my country, in your country. I tend to stay away from them. So sometimes I look like an idiot when I'm having conversations with people about very obvious things, because I tend to try to stay away from it.
Same thing as faculty, university policies, government policies. Politics. Sorry, it's always the same. I went to college. I've seen that.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. People, are always going to be people.
Yeah. My assumption though is like, I think the special thing that's happening in the United States is we have established churches in like Serbia, in Russia, in Syria, in Romania. We have like these established cultural influences in churches that color the way, you know, the church life is in those places. And you have obviously the diaspora in the United States where you have these influences, but you also have them in a country, the United States, that has an extremely particular culture itself. So what I think is kind of exciting is, and especially in the South, because I think, I mean, the North and the South in the United States have different cultures, but because I'm a part of Southern culture, I can see it. I think we're seeing a like emergence of one of these new cultural influences, namely the emergence of the American church, and what that's going to look like is going to be as different as what the church is like in Syria versus like Russia. Like the American church is just going to be different in some of its cultural emphasis because we're Americans.
That's
we,
good.
you know,
as long as you don't theologically / dogmatically stray in terms of
right, then we wouldn't be the Orthodox
still
church.
Orthodox. You know, you're still Orthodox. Like
Yeah.
people are gonna sit down in church. That's obviously a local thing, and we talked about that as well, very very briefly. But yeah, so basically there are some differences, but there's great things and some not so great things in both
Right.
versions, you know, in both flavors, in both
Yeah.
ways and cultures. And sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's hard to see or not see them, you know.
Yeah.
So in this particular case, I actually really liked the fact that people are catechumens for a year. That to me, that sounds great. It really blew me away. I never even thought about it. Like, I know B is constantly talking about with catechumens on his main channel, but I was like I would, you know, he speaks with a catechumen in comments or something, and I'm like, okay, this guy's gonna be chrismated in like 2 days, and that's not what's going to happen, you know. Sorry for sharing this.
No, that's good.
It's just so different. I loved it. I'd recommend every priest here in Serbia to have people as catechumens for a year.
It's quite prudent.
Let's see if
technically, our assembly of bishops even mandated that, but Serbia.
Okay, but here's the deal. For example, my grandmother is 80 years old. She was not a catechumen for a year. Okay.
But she has she has the wisdom for it, you know. It's different.
Well, but even still, like sometimes she'll say things and it's like, wow, that was a really Baptist thing to say. But but it's okay because you know, you make a dispensation for the octogenarians. Okay, so but I in general also agree.
But that's the point. You see, sorry, I'll leave it here after this. So priests commit their time and pastoral energy for every single catechumen, and they make the choice. And that makes all the sense in the world, because you know, this is the point. This is the point of their function. This is their function. To me, this is great. It doesn't work like that here. I'd like to see it work like that here as well. I would love to have gotten a sort of an education where when I joined, when I became
self-educated beautifully, though. I mean, I'm quite jealous. You're like,
you think so? You may think so, but still, trust me. Like, I've picked things up. I don't even know how. Like, I never went through any sort of an education. I'd love to have went, but you know, I don't even know what's best. But still, it looks great to me. That's how things work.
So another good thing about it is this: you do have to get to know your priest, and it's important because the role of confession in the Orthodox faith is like huge. It is the cornerstone, in addition to God's commands, of our quote moral theory. The commands of God are interpreted inside of the confessional, and if you don't have a relationship with your priest, which is something that is very rare in like the Western Christian context, this kind of like conversation with a priest where you're face to face with him talking through your sins, not just, you know, what you see in movies or what you know about. I mean, frankly, I went to Catholic school. I did the Catholic confession thing. Your face is covered, you say your prayers, you get your penance, and then boom, you're out. There's no conversation. There's no like long-term relationship. It's not like the priest also knows your husband and is confessing you like kind of at the same time and helping you, you know, all of those things. And so
you can find ways to do a Catholic confession here as well.
Sure. Yeah.
Without any penance.
Yeah, and without the grill, but
But anyway, so it's important for that too. The way I was a catechumen actually was through my professor mostly. And I mean, I got to know my priest well, but my professor, who later became my godfather, was a well-respected member of the church and trusted to like tell me what was important. And another like important aspect of my journey to the church did have to do majorly with my philosophical studies. So I became a Orthodox Christian as a senior in college. I knew that I was going to get my master's in philosophy, and at the time I wanted to be a professor. I was steeped in philosophical studies. I had a talent for it. I was interested in it, and I was really interested in ethics. I don't know if y'all know about this person, but I was reading H. Tristram Englehart's The Foundations of Bioethics and The Foundation of Christian Bioethics. Okay, so The Foundations of Christian Bioethics is largely assigned reading for seminarians in the United States on bioethical issues. It's very orthodox. It's very good. It's just interesting reading for Orthodox Christians. But his thesis is one that I largely agree with, which is in the Western emphasis on we can find God through reason alone. We can find out how to be a good person through reason alone. Without a relationship with God, we can deduce from natural laws what the right, the good, and the virtuous is. These foundational assumptions to Western culture and Western Christianity, I think, are false. Western philosophy has yet to produce a decisive argument for either the existence of God or the existence of like solely reason-based foundational moral truths. And once I realized that what Englehart was saying was that I agreed with it, coming to the East was just completely obvious.
Yeah.
Because you are left with only one option. It's either like nihilism or a personal encounter with the truth. Okay. If reason isn't going to get you there, you don't really have any other options. So that was definitely helpful in my coming to the church. So I just had to mention that, both because, I mean, Professor Englehart, I met him at that monastery that you and I both know about many times, and he's such a wonderful person.
The Holy Archangels.
Oh, here, I'll write it down. Yes.
Yes, with an E. Oh, I would like, if you don't spell a last name for me, or sometimes even names like that. Yes, Engelhardt.
He's when you guys posted that that video about that troparion that you sang and how you were both like equally sad and happy that very holy man had died, I was reminded of the day that Engelhardt died, because he actually died right before, like 30 minutes before. Thank you, Nate. 30 minutes before I took this like giant test. Everybody should get this book. It's so good.
Okay.
And as soon as I heard that, I mean, he was like, you know, he had been suffering for a while with a sickness. As soon as I heard that he had died, I almost went like this, yes, because I knew he could intercede for me. Because he was one of those people. He was one of those people who, yes, you're sad that they're gone, but like you said, Milos, when you were talking about this, it's like joyful because the heavens are like, you know, receiving this force of Christian nature, like this force of nature for Orthodox Christianity in the West has gone to meet his maker. And I couldn't have been happier because I immediately started asking for his intercessions. And, you know, I was sad, obviously, because it's a huge loss, but it's hard to be sad for long because you know when somebody's a saint, you know when somebody is there. And so I was just reminded by that.
Is there any sort of like talks about canonization?
Oh, no.
Okay, so basically you feel like a great Orthodox Christian mind basically was you know passed into the next better stage of existence, and I don't think it's wrong to.
And it was it was great. I was like 30 minutes from taking my comp. Everybody was already laughing at me because I was the only one in the testing center who had brought icons to just like surround the computer.
It happens more often than you would think.
I used to do this in one of my jobs, and it was frowned upon. I didn't really care much, but still, I didn't surround with icons. I timidly put one or two icons, but still, people don't really.
Yeah.
Even in a Christian Orthodox country,
people ultimately don't care that much, really.
You know, a colleague of mine in a software outsourcing agency I used to work with, he approached me and said, "Can I ask you a personal question?" I'm like, "Sure." You know, you're a smart guy. You really believe in all that crap?
Yes.
But that's Chad, yes, like, yes.
No, it was a fine question. You know, you can have your own perspective. You know, let's not open up another Pandora's box. It's perfectly fine with the 5 boxes we already opened.
There's Pandora's boxes all over the place in this episode. It's a minefield of Pandora's boxes.
I'm scared.
You need to stop being our guest. I mean, no, I think that there might be a number 3, but also we might actually talk to your husband next time.
For a change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can interview him. Like, why? He can complain about how awful it is to be married to a philosopher.
Or we can collectively just talk about how I don't know, women are bad or something like that.
Yeah. Also, why having a wife is great and also the worst. It's truly a martyrdom to oneself.
True.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, Dylan was a big part of my conversion story, although it wasn't the reason I converted, but yeah, definitely as I converted, I was like, I want to get married. Let's go. You know, like I will say, I laughed out loud.
Sorry, that's a great mindset. I fully support this sort of mindset, and I confirm it works.
I will say I laughed out loud at that Bible Illustrated video of like reasons not to convert.
Yeah. No. Not reasons not to convert. Bad reasons to convert. There's a world of difference between those two.
Bad reasons to convert, because I have been known to like, you know, tell if I like meet somebody and I'm like, hey, you should come to church, and they're a dude, I'm like, we'll find you a wife if you come to church. And then I saw that video and I was like, oh.
Oh, that's me.
There is a monastery here in Serbia
Yep.
where they have regular services for getting people together.
Oh, that's
Where-
Is it Tumane or Rukumia?
Rukumia is, I know that one for sure, but Tumane might have it as well. It's like, I know they have regular. Well, Tumane has regular prayers for people to find their quote unquote soulmate, but
Yeah.
Rukumia, there's basically the after party. There's a part where they actually meet. The people actually meet.
Yeah.
It's not like, it's
places.
not a bulletin board. It's not a bulletin board, right? It's not like man 41 looking for a woman to cook. No, it's not that. But it's like, I think it's nice, even though maybe the guy, the abbot is a bit controversial.
Yeah, but not too much. I mean, a bit, but not.
In principle, it sounds like a good idea. I mean, come on. If you want a serious Orthodox spouse,
I think it's a good idea. Yeah. But also, I don't think telling people come to the Orthodox Church will find you a wife / I don't think it works.
I always do it with a smile on my face. I hope they understand that I'm 90% like joking. But here's what I want.
You're not joking. That's the point.
Yeah.
You're not joking.
Well, here's what I'm communicating. The women in the Orthodox Church are open to marriage, a truth, generally.
Yeah.
And like, especially in a place like the United States, where outside of the church, it's like,
Yeah, but I also met women who are 100% in the Orthodox Church, 100% loyal to God, etc. They will never get married. I can tell you that for sure.
Why?
In the sense they never will, or they don't want to.
Then they never will, because there's this kind of people. I think that doesn't really. It probably works for men and women both. I just have this experience with women about that, and that's all. It doesn't really single out women, but there's people who just, you're just very harsh. It's like you're looking for the impossible. Like I've seen.
Yeah.
I've seen. I can talk about women because I dated 2 times, I think, women from church. No, really.
Okay.
I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at something else.
That's why I can talk about women in that thing, because I've seen that. I've seen that.
I think everybody has. Everybody knows who, like, difficult personality people.
It also, to be honest, I really don't think they're difficult personalities. Especially, I think they're wonderful people. Wonderful people.
Yeah.
They have this. They have this. I guess there's a certain way they think things should work, and if they don't work in that exact way, it won't work for them at all. And
Are you talking about Bojan? I'm just kidding.
No,
Sorry?
I don't.
No.
No.
I'm just kidding.
No, he's not that kind of a girl. No, the thing is,
I'll get you for this, and your little dog too.
What I'm trying to say is, it's like, to me, it's like there's a threshold they haven't passed. They might do it, hopefully, some of them do. I've seen that as well, where they're just supposed to let God figure it out for them, and they just have to try, and that's it. Try and pray. No, don't try too much. Don't be promiscuous. But still, I think just people prevent themselves from sometimes for trying, for just going in that direction. And that's the thing. For many of us Orthodox, it's either marriage or monastics. That's how many people look at things. That's how many people look at things. So. At some point, that's pretty much what awaits you.
Yeah.
So I'm opening another Pandora's box. I need to. I'm stopping right now. You're muted, B. Sorry.
I told you it is a minefield of Pandora's boxes.
Like I don't know what I'm.
You know,
I don't know.
I think it should be the episode name, even though I think that it should be a great podcast name. A minefield of Pandora's boxes. It's instant hit.
Keep them for yourself and then share it with me privately. But
okay.
No, really. We need a clickbaity title.
Clickbaity.
Yeah, we need a title like a yuppie converts to Orthodoxy.
Yes, yuppie, secular, vegan, atheist bears all.
Because she was jealous of women who had husbands, something like that, you know.
Yeah, that's where I'm gonna get in trouble. Somebody is gonna find out who I am on the internet and be like, "This person thinks that women are only happy if they have husbands." No, I did not make that universal statement. I made a general statement that, frankly, women tend. I mean, there is like empirical work that's been done on this. I mean, you know, I think in the sociology literature that we're termed non-liberal women, and we report high levels of satisfaction.
Well, it's a thing that worked for so many centuries.
I know.
But now, you know,
let's just be honest.
You know, people are trying to like tell us that, you know, yeah, it worked, but it worked because patriarchy or toxic masculinity or whatever, because women couldn't vote or something like that. There is a commandment from God in terms of how we should do things. There's not one, there's many of them. And that's about as far as I think we should go in terms of, you know, deciding, you know, if it's this or that. So it's actually, for us Christians, I think it's easy. We don't necessarily have to go deep, you know.
It's such a relief. I think that's one of those relieving things about being Orthodox. It's like it's just like it's not that I don't have to think, but you know, like the thinking isn't endless. It's not
exactly.
It's you know, there's an answer.
Yeah, and there's one thing. Boy, help me with this. B, help me with this. The part of the
no, I don't want to.
Scriptures where God says,
"No, I don't want to."
Moyaram je blag.
My burden is light.
Yeah, thank you. That part resonates with me when I think about this, because at the end of the day, if you go into that infinity process of trying to answer every question, you're gonna go mad.
Yeah, you are gonna go mad. And I will say this has to do with one of the reasons I converted. It is in principle impossible.
Because it's impossible. No, it's exactly.
You can't start to answer a question on what one should do without presupposing like foundational moral assumptions. And it's not that you can arrive at an answer from reason alone. You've already presupposed some assumptions in order to get there. And so,
100% on point, exactly kind of what I wanted to conclude. God is a solution here. God is the solution. Because what's your problem? Your problem is death. And God conquered death. Okay? So, you know, that's it. That's pretty much it. Because
Milos was a psychologist. You know, his patients, they would come in and sit on his couch and he'd be like, "Your problem is death."
No, Milos is a theologian.
No.
Yeah, he is.
Milos the theologian, yes. Milos the psychologist. Yeah, thank you for
we have to praise you on occasion. Not too much, but on occasion.
The exact same point. You had the exact same point as me, which is great.
You'll like the book that I want you to read. In fact, if you email me your address, I'll send you one for Christmas.
Oh, I know his address. His address is
thank you so much.
The Doxing of M.
I'll buy a Kindle book because it's cheap, it's super easy to get it, and it's gonna be here in 2 seconds.
Oh, true.
Yeah, so
he's a cheater.
I've been sitting here trying to figure out what else Bojan is doing on the computer by trying to look at the reflection in his glasses.
You'll never know. You'll never know. But here's a.
That's exactly what I was trying to do, but I found out in a different way.
Let's make it difficult for you. What I liked, do you know that stupid trope in modern series like zoom in hands?
I don't know.
No.
So like, sorry?
I haven't heard of this.
Like police or investigators, they find like a footage of like security camera.
Yeah. Zoom in lens. Oh, that's what you said. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Zoom enhance. Well, that's not how zooming and enhancing works. I mean, it does help a little bit, but it cannot create something that's not there on the camera. And I remember this
people being like,
stopping
the image, click, and it's like 4K.
Yeah. And like I remember there's like this really foggy image of a car on security cam, and like zoom in, enhance, and like there's perfect image of the car. Zoom in on the registration plate, and there's the perfect enhance, and there's the perfect image. Zoom in on the reflection on the screw on the registration plate, and there's an image of a guy. Zoom in on his eye, and there's a reflection on his eyeball, and they find the murderer.
Can I interrupt you for just a second?
No. Okay.
Let me tell you this. We might laugh at that because it's in the movies, but two things. One, the cameras are getting exponentially better, and the level of detail is getting exponentially larger. And AI can actually do these things now.
Oh no! But at the time when this was mocked, they couldn't.
Absolutely, not that far away, like reflecting somebody's eye because of the limitations of the camera still. But AI is super capable of enhancing a photo. Like the things AI does right now, it's ridiculous. Like there's a free project. I'm gonna give you a link because you might actually have fun with it. Which is like, let's say you have a painting of a horse. And you're like, okay, AI, convert this painting into a photo. Bam, a perfect photo of a horse based on the painting. And then you're like, okay, AI, no, AI, I want the horse to be a zebra. And then, you get a zebra.
Yeah.
Easy.
On a scarier note, my brother and my soon-to-be brother-in-law, who is like, he's the one who tells me all the scary stuff on the internet that I don't know because I choose to be nice.
This is awesome.
And he told me the other day that, apparently Shia LaBeouf, who is like an actor, when Trump got elected, he vowed to like wave this flag until he was finally ousted from office or whatever. Okay. And so like this, I guess it was on 4chan, this website, I don't know what it is, but 4chan, like people, so he had a like live feed of this flag, and it was just the flag, but just from the surrounding of it, people on 4chan figured out where it was. So Shia LaBeouf moved it. He moved it twice, and the last time it was just the flag and a white wall.
Yeah.
And they figured out, the internet figured out like where it was based on like light patterns and like all of this stuff. And they tested their theory by ordering pizza to his house and seeing if the doorbell rang when they thought it would ring, and it did. And that scared me so.
You know what we should do? We should have the internet solve all crimes. 4chan. 4chan.
By the way, Brigid, one of my favorite YouTubers, internet historian, he made a video on this, which is hilarious, but also very informative. Just go on his channel and find. I think there's two videos about it, because I think. Okay, I'll send you the link right away. It's amazing.
To the episode description.
Okay.
But also it's late and I need to go to sleep. Can I just take one moment to selfishly ask for something of the audience? Guys, if you find it in your heart for just like 2 seconds, please mention my father, who is sick right now and having a lot of trouble recuperating after an operation. Please, 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 please. It would mean so much to me. That's all. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
We will pray for him. What's his name?
Miloje.
Okay. Pray for Miloje.
Spell that, please, for non-Serbian people. In the
Miloje.
Miloje.
And yes, it's Bojan, not Bojan. And it's
I
Miloje,
know,
not
I
Miloje.
keep doing it. Every time I do it, I'm like,
I know.
you are such an idiot. Yeah.
Every time you do it, I laugh 2 times inside.
It's so embarrassing. I tell myself right before I do it, no, don't say it like this. And then I do it.
It's perfectly fun. Bojan forever.
Of course. Forever, forever, forever. Forever and ever. Oh, man.
All right. Well, that was my conversion story. I hope it lived up to expectation.
Yeah, that was your conversion Whole Foods. What's the name of that thing where Father Dimitri took you? Box.
Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel.
So delicious. Oh my God.
Christian Bioethics. 5 Pandora's boxes about women and marriage. Episode story.
Oh, I should have thought about it more.
No, good luck making a title. Good luck making a title for this episode.
The Pandora's boxes.
The minefield of Pandora's boxes with Brigid.
But yeah, because if we listen, if you want us to label you as a secular feminist, something, we need to have you with short hair, dyed in turquoise, bright pink, purple.
AI can do it. We can change the video.
Okay, I'm willing to consider it. and there's an image of a zebra.
Me, and you could like put it like the background is like a stock photo of the Orthodox liturgy, and I'm just like sneering at all the enslaved women and their
and you have the bubbles, and then the cloud, and inside the cloud it says, they all have husbands.
Even the guy next door has a husband.
And 2 puppies. Yeah, Brigid, thank you so much for being our guest again. It might happen again. I don't really know.
Our special guest.
Thanks for hanging out. I enjoy it so much.
We'll see your reaction when we process this video with AI. We'll see if you're gonna want to be our guest again after that.
Nina, do you want to say bye-bye? You want to say bye-bye to our friends?
Yes. Bye. Bye, Nina. Bye.
Here, husband. Look what you get when you convert.
Wow.
It's almost a commercial. It's almost a commercial. Texas Orthodox Christianity.
Yeah.
This is what you get.
Look how pretty. You get one of these.
Oh.
Y'all sleep
They
well.
come with the ring. They come with the ring.
Don't be embarrassed. We will cut you off with AI. You won't even be there.
Yeah, the AI, it controls all of it.
We'll crop you out with AI.
Yeah. Good.
Okay. I will see you guys soon because I'll probably bother you until we do this again some other time, but we should sign off, right?
Yeah. Thank you for being our subscriber as well. I never said that.
Oh yeah.
Look forward to seeing you defend us in comments.
Yeah. True.
That's men's work.
It's a man's world.